I mean, I trade a lot of privacy for convenience, I feel. But I also do so with my eyes wide open, knowing what I'm getting for it in most cases. But there are lines that go too far for me, and anything, if I will never own a refrigerator that tells me when I need milk. You can kiss my white
I'm never
ass.
going
I
to
will
own a
never,
refrigerator with a
ever.
tablet on it.
It's not going to happen. I don't give a shit if I have to use a 1950s refrigerator. My refrigerator will never be smart. There's no need.
No need.
I'm not so stupid that I can't look in the goddamn refrigerator and tell you that I need something. Like, it's just so asinine.
I don't
What
need
real
you telling me
convenience
what I
am I
need to
getting
buy
there?
when.
Yeah, like what is the real convenience there? What's the problem they're solving? None.
Next
It's
thing you know,
stupid.
it'll be ordering it without your permission.
It's just like how smart speakers are failing because they can't figure out how to monetize stuff because they thought people would just order random shit by voice.
Right.
Like, yeah, I don't even trust Amazon search, let alone I'm just going to tell Alexa, oh yeah, go ahead and buy whatever you want. Like,
they were really trying to push that until I got in trouble a couple of times because kids ordered giant dolls.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about how much money they were losing on that thing.
They said they lost $10 billion on Alexa last year.
Crazy.
How the hell do you lose $10 billion a year on
They were
that?
selling them at essentially cost.
You plan it out, and then you don't pay taxes for 10 years for your company.
and then you blame it on one branch, and you call that your taxes.
Well, they should have done a better. I'm not sure exactly what I don't remember what they're charging for music, but it's better. It's better as a music device than it is for a purchase shit device.
Right.
Well, and everybody else said it with home control as well. So, like, if you have smart stuff in your house, then you can control it.
Lights.
And look, I have both of those things. That's what I use it for. I pay for the music. I haven't looked at how much the cost for the music, but I pay for the music just so I can listen to music and I can have it through all those speakers that I have in the house. And I have several switches. I have the lights here. I have the lights upstairs. It's in some cases it's a convenience because of the fact that there's spots in the house where there isn't a light switch available or whatever, and it's a convenience to have something that can actually turn on the lights for me. You know,
or I can turn on the fan in my garage before I go out there, so I'm not roasting in the summer.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand all the security aspects of it, and it's
it's some pretty mundane information. Right. I mean, if you think if someone's harvesting your logs for like when you turn lights off and on, like there's some pretty mundane amount of like information, like it's not really valuable. Like, and that's the type of trade I would make. Like, I really don't care about something so inane.
You want me to scare you with that?
Yeah, the information is valuable, is what he's going to tell you, and he probably can tell you how. So go for it, Scotty.
All right. So in a couple of ways here, let's start with that refrigerator one that you were talking about. You never were going to own. It's not just that they're telling you what's low in your refrigerator. Eventually, they're going to start telling you what's in your refrigerator is not really healthy for you. And if you continue to purchase things that are not really healthy for you, it's going to be reported to whoever your insurance provider is. And then they'll have to have a talk with you.
Yeah, but I don't disagree with you. And I think that anyone who ends up in that situation deserves it personally. But I'm talking about literally a smart switch.
Yeah.
The only information they could possibly know. Okay.
I want to get to the switch because here's the thing. In America, our electrical grid is crap. We haven't done much to modernize it in forever. Now, part of the reason is we've just been misallocating money. It's going in all the wrong things. But I'm not going to get into all of that. The data that's being collected
or all the right pockets.
Well, there you go. The data that's collected from that is more than just you flipping a switch here or there. It's how much time you're spending in your home. How much time are you actually outside of your home versus in your home?
They could already tell that from your power usage, though, man.
No, not
there's so many
not
different
all,
ways.
Not all of it, because you can, like, say for instance, you can leave a television on accidentally and it'll just stay on and just run for a certain amount of time, right? Now with a smart television, what are they built into it? That little pop-up thing that comes up and says, "Hey, are you still here?" And you have to hit a button in order to continue the signal coming through.
You're jumping around, man. I'm sorry, but you're
I
jumping
am.
from the switch to something that's not a switch.
I'm letting you know how the switch is designed to function.
Okay, well you're not telling me how a switch is compromising my security.
No, it's not compromising your security. It's just data logging you, right? Like everything that you're doing in your home is being sent to someone else, and ultimately what it's going to boil down to is you're using too much electricity. You need to cut back on this, and this, and we can tell you how. You need to now install this thing on your house. You need to now do this kind of thing.
They wouldn't have that level of detail from a smart switch. They just wouldn't.
The switch does more than what you're thinking it does. I think because
how?
Think about it.
Tell me how.
The switch connects to a hub, doesn't it?
Maybe not.
It connects to a hub. The switch itself does not do a whole lot, but the hub does.
A lot of them phone back home too.
Yeah, the hub does a lot more than they tell you. Not only that, the data that the hub sends out, they always encrypt the data to them, but leave your end wide open. So for instance, your access to whatever the data is limited, but their access is 100%. So say for instance, I'm trying to think who else does this, like those Ring doorbell cameras or whatever, how people around the world can just watch your camera.
Right, which is why I would never own one.
Yeah, so you're left wide open just because they want your data.
Yeah, not only that, but they're starting to compel people to give that data, and if you don't, like, it isn't even there's like a search warrant or anything needed. Like they just have eminent domain or control over the data. It's part of the little agreement you make. Again, which is why I would never.
How many of those companies also got
your
caught?
data is for sale, and so that means that the police departments and everybody else can purchase it without a warrant and use it against you.
So how many? I agree with what you're saying that they definitely have my data and they definitely sell my data and everything else. The only thing I disagree with is what the possibility of them trying to say that I have to add something to my house to cut down on my electric usage, because they can suggest it all they want. I know with the heaters, because I know they tried to give you they try to sell you like the smart thermostats and stuff like that.
Right.
The smart thermostats, they have an opt-in. There's an opt-in on those where you can go like, hey, you can opt in with your electric company for a lower something with the lower rate with your electricity or something, and but you give them control of your thermostat, or them.
That happened a lot around here.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's an opt-in thing. They gave you they let you. Yeah. So that I could see, but I can't.
That's like the beginning stages of that. No. What he's also talking about is like your health insurance company finding out that your habits are bad, so they give you a higher rate than the next guy, or they use the data from your car because you have the Echo Auto in there in order to determine your driving, or using Google to determine your driving and affecting your insurance that way.
Nobody has an Echo Auto. Let me just nobody has an Echo Auto.
I'm sure you've all been offered by your insurance company to hook something into your car that will then get you a lower rate because they can then track your driving habits. Have you guys have that offer or no?
No.
They offer it, but we never take it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Who offers it, by the way? I know
State Farm does.
State Farm does.
A bunch of companies do. If you let them hook up to your ODB2 connector, and they can tell you all about how you brake, your driving habits, how far you drive every day. Yeah.
Right. And
so they could collect information. Does the ODB2, does that have any way of controlling anything, or is it just a sensor?
It's just a sensor. I mean, you can. Yes, that's not entirely true, because you can send
reprogram.
You can send reprogram. You can clear faults and logs. Like I have an ODB2 that is just so that I can read engine codes because I have old shitty cars. But that's so it's not entirely one way, but it's mainly just for diagnostics. So it's not like you can hit the brakes with it or something.
Okay.
And I want to point out one last thing. How many of these devices, or companies rather, have ultimately gotten caught hard coding credentials into these devices that you don't know about until something really bad happens and then you discover it. So when you say it doesn't jeopardize you, think about that.
Yeah, it's still not a point
Look,
that they can really take a huge advantage of. But I do agree with you that it is a shame that so many of these IoT companies are selling devices that get like an ancient version of something and then never get
no
updated.
updates, insecure. Yeah, that was a big thing with the IP cameras. Like, if
Yeah.
you didn't get an update to some of the old school IP cameras, then they were completely insecure and anybody could access them.
Well, you also had all those light bulbs that the company that made them went out of business, and you can't have no way of controlling them unless
Right.
you find a way to like go in and flash the firmware on it.
So I think if I were to actually do this, I mean, first of all, I'm not blazing any trails, so there's already a huge body of experience and knowledge out there that I can draw from and pick not only the devices that'll hopefully be well supported into the future, but the ones that don't inherently spy
All
on
right,
you.
guys.
Or
I'm going to stop you right there, Eric. I'm loving this conversation, but I have to get up at 5 a.m. to take my kids somewhere, so
Okay.
I'm going to have to drop, guys.
Yep.
Thank you. I'll talk to
Bye,
y'all
Joe.
next time.
All right.
Well,
Later.
See you, Joe.
bye.
Bye, Joe.
But
Bye.
by the way, folks, there is going to be more intrusion because part of the anti-drunk driving system is that they're going to have a net nanny on your built into your OBD2 and your car controls, so that if your car doesn't like the way you're driving or the police don't like the way you're driving, they will be able to interfere with things.
Yeah, I know they've been wanting to do that for a long time, have a remote kill switch on cars. And, you know, it's one of those things that part of me driving all the time with people and realizing how stupid some people are, and then you add in chemicals that interfere with and impair their judgment, and you see them do really dangerous, stupid things, and you think, instead of chasing them around and endangering everybody, if they could just push a button and say, you're done. And like, to me, yes, that is a system that is just rife for abuse.
Yes.
But at the same time, in terms of like public safety, it is kind of something that I can be okay with because of the bad actors who do stupid shit in cars.
I disagree. I couldn't do it.
The problem is once you have something like that in there, you don't know who has control of that.
I don't
And
disagree.
you have to.
The bad actors will have control of that.
You have to trust that the person who has the kill switch on your car has your best intentions in mind, or the best intentions of the other people in mind.
Well, then maybe it comes down to it's something that becomes mandatory for people who have demonstrated a lack of responsibility. And in order for them to, I mean, today they have the, breathalyzer blow things.
Right.
So maybe those people, it's more appropriate. I don't know.
That would make a little bit more sense than just trying to put it on everybody. It was just put it on like people who should lose their license. They get to keep it if they have a car where it's more monitored or whatever. Or people who,
Well, can you uninstall it?
It kind of goes back to the old conversation of when the government wanted to put a backdoor into different types of security encryption. Yeah. Yes. If you put a back door into encryption, who's going to have the key to that back door? And once there's a back door in there in the first place, you negate the whole security in the know.
The answer is whoever has the money to pay for it, basically. That's the short answer.
Not even that. You have incompetence even in government. So all it takes is for somebody like John Podesta to go, I'm not going to reset my password. I'll just leave, password 123, and that's fine. Nobody will ever guess that. And there you go. Now everybody's compromised because you let a bonehead be in charge of.
The problem is we have to get past this shit to move forward in our evolution and existence. We can't just keep turtling. There has to be better ways to allow for the right types of communications to happen, the right types of interactions to happen, and it just doesn't seem like we are progressing with that type of technology in any meaningful way. And if anything, it feels like people are pulling back into even tighter fiefdoms and systems that were once open and you could access with an API or, get at data in a more simple and straightforward way. Now it becomes more and more difficult. And it feels like, I don't know, like the things that I used to be able to do and scrape and pull and access and combine and do different things with, like most of that stuff is gone now. And yeah, because some of it was being abused, but I think that's always going to be the case. To just say like, well, we can't possibly ever consider this because of our, the history of bad actors, or like it. I just think it stymies us.